What's up, growers? Welcome to Cross Gardening. My name is Cross, and today we're going to be looking at 6 tips that's going to help you become better tomato growers this season. Let's go. Number 1 tip, the site. You do want to plant your tomatoes in full sun. Your tomato plant requires 6 to 8 hours of sun for it to be able to thrive and really produce the fruit that you really want to get out of your plant, right? Now, don't try to put it in the shade. You're not going to have good results of it. The other thing as well is here, if you look, I do have quite a few plants growing in here, but I got one plant here, I got another one here, and I got another one here. And I do leave a little bit of space between the plants so that I have enough air circulation going into the plant. Remember the video that I did before? If you haven't seen it, it's right here for you to click on. In that video, I talked about powdery mildew, and how powdery mildew happens is that there's not enough air circulation going on your plant. All right, and if you want to know how to treat it, I really recommend you to look at that video. That's going to really help you prevent it. Your best strategy here with powdery mildew is trying to prevent it. It's really hard to cure. Just try to prevent it. And to prevent it, have enough spacing between your plants. And the other thing as well is it needs warmth. So don't try and grow your tomatoes in winter unless you have a greenhouse, a heated greenhouse that really allows you to create an environment that the tomato needs to be able to thrive. But you do want to have a really warm area for the tomato to grow and produce the fruit. So that's the number 1 thing. The site, really important. That's what you want to start with, right? The second thing that you want to be aware of is what you grow your plant into, the medium that you're going to be growing your plants into. This is really important, right? Because you do want the soil to be packed of nutrients. The tomato plant is very hungry. It's going to need a lot of nutrients throughout the season to be able to give you your beautiful tomatoes, right? So how I set up this bed, I used the Nordic lasagna method to set up this bed. Wow, I got a lot of crows around me. So if you want to see how you can build your own Nordic lasagna bed, I do have a video on that you're really welcome to go and have a look at. But just a word of caution here is if you put a lot of cow manure into your bed, you don't want to plant your tomatoes straight away into the cow manure, because the cow manure is full of nitrogen. And so what that means is you're gonna end up with a plant with a lot of leaf growth, right? Just like we talked about before in the previous videos. And this is not what you want. You want a really balanced medium for the plant to grow into. That's really gonna support its life and support its hunger patterns, I would say, throughout your season, and grow those tomatoes for you. Now let's talk watering. How do you go and water your tomato plants? First of all, you never want to water your tomato plants from the top overhead, right? Because you're going to water the leaves, and this will make your tomatoes prone to diseases. So you really want to water your plants from the bottom, from the base of the plant, where really it needs to water. The tomato plants is going to drink from the roots. It's not going to drink from the leaves. So there's really no point of watering the leaves unless you want your tomato plants to get sick, right? So how I do that is I got this water wand. It's like my little magic wand. I never wanted to get one, but now I recommend it. It really allows you to put the nozzle of the wand just where it needs to be water, and just press it, and the water is just going to come out where you want the water to come out. Now the other thing is, how do you know when is the right time to water your plants? How you do that is you basically just go and stick your finger in, and if your finger comes back with some dirt on it, then that means that the soil is moist. Okay, if it comes back completely dry with no dirt on it, then that means that you probably need to water. Now I also use a device, this one that basically tells me the moisture level in the soil. So I just stick that in, and here I can see, for example, that a few inches in is quite moist, so I probably don't need to water my tomato plant today, right? The other thing is you can see that I do have a lot of mulch in here. Really important for you to go and mulch your tomato plants, and there's multiple reasons for that. First of all, it keeps the moisture level in the soil longer than it was if you had just bare soil here on your plants. The other thing as well is when it rains, and if it rains quite hard, those soil particles may splash back onto the plant, onto the leaves. And this is how you get most diseases on a tomato plant. Most disease of a tomato plant is soil borne, so it comes from the soil, and that comes from the soil splashing back onto the leaf. You don't want the leaf to touch the soil, you don't want the soil to splash back onto the leaf. So there's multiple things you want to do here, and we're going to talk that inside the next tip, which brings us to tip number 3. You do not want any of your lower leaves coming in contact with the soil. So what I do is any of the lower leaves, I'm actually going to pinch them out. You can just use your nails to do that. You can use a pruner as well, it's up to you. But that will really protect the plant from catching anything at all from the soil, right? Because when the watering happens, it may still splash some of the soil particles on the plant, but it's not going to catch those leaves. Really, the diseases come from the leaves having soil onto them, right? The stem is going to be fine. There's another thing that you do want to prune off your tomato plant, except from the lower leaf as well, and that is called a sucker. For example, we got one here. A sucker is basically a clone of your tomato plant, growing between a set of leaves and one of the main stem. And here you see I have a big sucker here that I don't want to have here. Now, yes, you're gonna get more foliage, you're gonna potentially get more flowers if you let those suckers grow, but you're not gonna get better fruit. Why? Because now the plant is gonna spend most of its energy also growing the suckers as well, rather than just putting its energy into the fruit. So you do want to cut those suckers. What I do, 2 stems or 3 stems are fine. So I limit my plants to 2 stems. So here you can see I got my main stem here, keep growing up here, and I got my secondary stem, which is a sucker that I let it grow as well. But any other suckers, I'm gonna prune them off as soon as I see them. Because see here, this is a indeterminate kind of tomato. This is a honeybee variety. It's indeterminate. Indeterminate means it's going to keep on growing throughout the season. It's going to keep giving fruit throughout the season. It's not like those determinate plants that basically give you all the fruit all at once. Maybe you don't want to cut the suckers as much on the determinate plants. Now, I only grow indeterminate varieties. And the reason why I only grow indeterminate varieties is because I'm not a farmer. I don't want to have a big produce and big production and sell it all at once at the market. I want to have fruit throughout the season, right? So anytime I see those suckers, I prune them off so that the plant can focus on producing the fruits that we need for our lunch, dinner, and so on. Now, the last thing I want to cover with you is the size of your plant. How tall should you let your plant grow? Now, the indeterminate varieties like I got right here are going to keep growing throughout the whole season. It's not going to stop, right? So you do want to stop it because you don't want it to go over your infrastructure too much. If it goes too much over your infrastructure here, what's going to happen is that if there's a strong wind, you have a risk of breaking the stem of the plant. And when you don't have a good, clean, control cut on your plant, there's a good chance that you're going to end up with diseases that can infect your whole plant and all production of this specific plant. So what I'm going to do when this is going to get over the infrastructure, I'm going to top it up. So what a topping is basically just cutting the tip so that it doesn't keep on growing anymore, and that's going to tell the plant to redirect all its energy into fruit production rather than vegetative growth. That's probably something you also want to do at the end of the season as well, when you know that okay, it's not going to have that many months anymore to grow all your produce, and you really want to reap the last few months of produce as much as you would like to. So you may want to top your plants as well so that all the energy, like I said, goes into the fruit production rather than the growth of the plant itself. And there you have it, 6 tips to become better tomato growers this season. If you like this video, just hit that like button. If you like to see more content like this or support our channel, just hit that subscribe button. And you may want to click on the bell as well and enable notifications so that you can be notified anytime I post new content to this video. And one last thing, thank you so much for being with me today and learning about how to grow better tomatoes tomorrow. And remember, it's never be a better time to become a gardener. So join the community and start gardening today.